more than double of recurrent expenditure. But now let's look at Ebonyi. I'm not saying that the Ebonyi guy is doing all these things, but he has started so many projects without noise. Now look at Ebonyi, got 23 billion. Oti spent 5 billion on developing the state in 3 months, as he claimed. The governor of Ebonyi spent 11.85 billion. So you could see that a capital expenditure, and this has been going on in Ebonyi. If you go to Omahi was spending more on capital expenditure, which is developing the state, more on developing the state than on recurrent expenditure or running government. If a man can spend 5.3 billion in running his office, he spent only 700 million on the education sector. I spent 1.12 billion in a state of 4 million people. He spent 5.3 billion on running his office of less than 100 people, but spent 1.12 billion. And this figure is contestable, because what has he done to have spent 1 billion on the education sector? Only God knows. Total operational expenditure 10 billion, capital expenditure 5 billion, and I'm still wondering, what has he done? But let me also show you. But let's now do some other thing. This is something we do in consultancy. So this is July to September 2023, yeah? Now let's look at Ibazu's expenditure. Yeah, so look at it. Ibazu July to September 2022, Oti July to September 2023. So let's compare these things and see, is there any similarity? Have we moved forward, or are we still where we are, or have we even gone worse? So I'm going to show you that. Analysis now. So this is governance costs, OT versus Ibazu. So OT is July to September 2023. Ibazu July to September 2022, when Ibazu was in power. The same time period. So what was our revenue excluding borrowing? How much did we earn from July to September 2023 under OT? We earned 25.21 billion. Under Ibazu, we earned 24.73. Has put in place, will change everything. This is the second quarter. IGR, OT, 3.3 billion. Ibazu did in the same time last year, Ibazu did 5.72 billion. So with all this digitalization that he has done, which he used your money as well, which he used your money for propaganda in newspapers, with the digitalization he has done, yeah, we are now losing how much? We are now losing about 2.42 billion every quarter. We are losing about 810 million naira every month with all this digitalization. But remember, I had a lot of questions with that digitalization. So there's always a service charge for every 1 naira collected. The owner of that platform, of that digital platform, has a percentage. There was also another thing that he introduced, what he called the insurance scheme. Remember, I continued asking this question and I was being abused. How much per 1 naira are you collecting for that insurance? How much per 1 naira collected are you collecting for that digital platform? Nobody answered that question till today. So with all this new innovation, I know this is just the beginning. It could get better later. But with this innovation, we've not seen any change. We are losing about 814 million naira every month from Ibazo's time last year. So I just want you to think about it. Oti used 5.32 billion to run his office in 3 months. Ibazo, the person we call criminal, the worst governor in Nigeria, used 2 billion. 5.32 billion, Ibazo used 2 billion. That is still very expensive, because the governor of Ebonyi State, even now, used 847 million. Who is the worst? Look at it. 2 billion. Oti 5.32 billion. The governor of Ebonyi State spent 847 million in 3 months. So Ibazu is winning in IGR 5.72 billion. Ibazu is winning in running the governor's office 3.32 billion naira less in running his office in 3 months than what Oti claims that he has used. Now, security vote, this will make you cry. Ibazu used only 240 million. The Senate used 2.8 billion, about 10 times, almost 10 times. Ibazu claimed only 240 million in 3 months. The Senate from above claimed 2.8 billion in 3 months. Ibazu was spending only 80 million. The Senate is claiming 927 million in 1 month. But the governor of Ebonyi State, this is still very high. The governor of Ebonyi State now uses only 7 million. The governor of Ebonyi State, 110 million a month. The governor of Ebonyi State, 110 million a month. Ibazu 80 million. So you could see we are now doing comparative analysis. Are we now moving from frying pan to fire? Now, running the deputy governor's office, while the deputy governor under oath is 252 million. Ibazu's deputy governor last year was only using 86 million. That is about 29 million a month was spent on running the governor's office. On Otis one is about 85 million. 85 million. 29 million on the Ibazu. But still again, under the governor of Ebonyi State, call it 16 million. Now, the man that came to change us, 16 million. The people that came to change us are taken up to about 85 million. Ibazu, 86 million. This is million, not billion. This is a typo. 86 million in 3 months. The people that came to save us, 252 million. Okay, now, Ministry of Information. Running the Ministry of Information, the man that came to save us is spending 543 million. Ibazu in that same time spent 228 million, less than half. But still, the man at Ebonyi has shown us that you can run the Ministry of Information with only 96 million. Now, health, OT 1.12 billion. We don't know what he spent on, but we know the things Ibazu was doing in the health sector. At least we know the hospital he built. Yeah, 600 million. We don't know what OT spent on in the health sector. But the governor of Ebonyi, 387 million. Now, ASEPA, they sent 393 million. Ibazu, 350 million. So if you look at these figures I've shown you here, it looks as if we are now worse off than we were under Ibazu. From IGR, we are losing about 2.42 billion in 3 months. We are losing about 800 million every month. Running the governor's office, we are spending up to 3.3 billion in running the governor's office. Security vote, Ibazu 240 million, Roti 2.8 billion in 3 months. Running the deputy governor's office, 253 million, Ibazu 86 million. Propaganda, Ibazu was just taking 227 million. Oti has more than doubled it, 543 million. Can I ask you a question? Where is the new Abia? We don't use sentiments. So I'm not going to present to you Governor Oti's performance scorecard. Remember, this is high-level consultancy work that people pay people money to do. How has he performed in real life? So I've done another analysis as well, which I'm going to present to you now. Governor Oti's performance scorecard. And I will also show you some of the failings of Dr. Oti, which I'm going to present to you. Let me remember that information is power. It's not that we rehabilitated a roundabout. You take picture from, they go to a gutter. They take the picture from inside the gutter. They take from above. They fly a drone from a gutter. They go on inside the pipe they take. That is not how to measure the performance of a government. So I've used international matrices, international indices of measuring performance of a government to measure Governor Oti's performance so far. I'm going to tie this information, this performance measurement, with the data I presented to you before. Education sector. This is Oti's scorecard. There is nothing in the education sector. So education is one of the improvements in the education sector. It's one of the things you use to measure the performance of a government. Governor Oti is busy chasing private schools, while our own government schools are dead. Remember that the governor of Ebonyi State increased subventions, the subventions they are giving to schools, and paid them all their arrears. Oti, no, zero. Oti is even sacking teachers employed by Ibazu simply because Ibazu employed them. Not because that they are not qualified. A good leader should understand that these people are Abians. Make no mistake. His leadership is now. These people are Abia people. They may have been employed through, but Oti has not followed any due process in anything he has done in Abia. These are Abia people. Yeah, they were unemployed. Ibazu found a way to employ them. The process may not have been good, but what you now do is to regularize their employment. If there are those of them that are not qualified, what a good leader will do is to see a way to organize training for them if they are trainable. If there are those that cannot be trained, they 1,000. You regularize their employment if you believe, because they are Abians. They are not from Kanuri. They are not from Kafachan. They are not from Niger. These are unemployed Abia citizens. And he sacked them. So Oti, telling us that he's dealing with the private schools, where our public schools are dead. Any day I go to any of my children's school here, if I go to the academy where my son goes to school, I'll do a video and show you public school owned by the local government. Or even Governor Oti, his children studied in public schools in America. he hasn't improved the education sector by one thing. His commissioner of education is totally redundant on the education sector. So this is how I'm scoring OT. Even with the, he said he has spent over 700 million on the education sector, but the result is zero. So his performance on the education sector is very poor. If you consider the amount of money spent on the education sector, zero value, education sector, zero value, health and education sector, I consider OT's performance so far in those two sectors very poor. And let me also touch on something. A hospital does not make a healthcare system. A building does not make an education system. OT knows all these things. He uses them. His children use them. He knows our debt growth, our debt profile. We don't know what our debt looks like because they don't publish that one. They will only publish how much he has borrowed in the annual report. So these ones are quarterly reports every 3 months. They don't publish borrowing, but they will publish it in the annual report. But we also don't know how much he has borrowed. They are still telling us in the published financial report, the 2022 financial report, published by Otis Accountant General, the girl he imported from Imo State. They told us that we are owing 168 billion. But on Sunday, Otis Chief Protocol Officer published on his page that we are owing 190 billion. So you could see that OT has borrowed more. With the published financial report, they said 168 billion, that we are owing 190 billion. That begins to tell you our debt is unsustainable. Okay, so our debt is also growing. Now, poverty rate. You know that our salary burden was the problem until I punctured the lie that last year Abia earned 192 billion. 192 billion in revenue. Our salary burden was 25.5 billion. 25 billion thereabout. 25 billion. And I was telling Governor Oti, how are you going to the newspaper again, spending 542 million to tell Nigerians, to just discredit Ibazo that the problem of Abia State is salary, and you use this as a decoy to sack people that Ibazo employed? So I was asking him, what about the 165 billion? Abia earned 190 billion, and our salary burden was 25 billion. What about the 165 billion? And they stopped that lie. But he still sacked people. So if you look at poverty rate, which is one of the things we use to judge the performance or the effectiveness of leadership, OT has performed poorly because he has increased Abia's poverty rate by more than 10,000 people. Now, unemployment rate and poverty are the same. Remember that this man has not created one single job. One single job in Abia State. Not even a single job. Not even one single job. Again, by sacking these people, by sacking up to 10,000 people from the civil service or more, assuming that these people are paid 15,000, yeah? So you're looking at, I think, probably about 1.5 billion every month. And this 1.5 billion will be spent in, he's a first-class economist. This 1.5 billion will be spent within Abia. As they are spending it within Abia, the people that are selling more and making profit. So the Abia's aggregate demand of GDP begins to rise. But he has also increased poverty rate in Abia. Unemployment, that one is self-explanatory. He has increased unemployment rate in Abia. IGR growth, you have seen it, that we are losing. Ibazo was giving us 5.76 billion by this time last year, 3.3 billion. So we're losing over 800 million every month since Oti came into power. 800 million every month in IGR. So if you look at the few things I've measured, education, very poor. Healthcare, very poor. Cost of governance, very poor. Debt, I'm not going to talk about debt because I don't really know. But poverty rate, he's performed poorly. He's increased poverty in Abia State. He's increased the unemployment rate from about 54%, probably now to about 60%. He has performed very poorly in all these indices using the data he published. Now let's go to the next one. Investment in capital development, that's infrastructure. Road is not the only infrastructure. We talk about electricity, so we should be measuring Governor Oti on things like the number of houses that have been connected to the state's electricity grid. Let's not talk about water because we can do boreholes by ourselves, yeah? But how many new houses has he connected to the state's electricity grid? How many communities or villages that didn't have electricity has he been able to donate transformers to? to at least to stimulate the local economy in those areas? Zero. So infrastructure, we gave him a bit of amber. Why did we give him amber? Investment in capital development. If you look at the amount of money he said he has spent over 5 billion in 3 months. And you begin to see the value he has created. I will give him very poor because I can't see any value created in 3 months worth 5 billion. So it is becoming clearer to you that I've done this already, but I was just waiting for an official data to back up my claim. So if you go to infrastructural development, we haven't seen any value created, any work done worth up to 5 billion. This is just July to September. Remember that October is not there, June is not there. So probably he would have spent up to 7 billion on infrastructure, on capital development, but you can't see anything. If you also look at investment in capital development, I'm going to give him some credit for Port Harcourt Road awarding that contract. But you could also see that the amount of money is criminally atrocious. 6.7 kilometers for over 30 billion. 3.5 kilometers for over 8 billion. That is also atrocious. So if you look at, these are positive initiatives. If you look at Port Harcourt Road, remember that awarding a contract doesn't mean anything. DLG spent more than 5 billion on Port Harcourt Road. Ibazu spent more than 5 billion on Port Harcourt Road. So awarding the contract does not mean anything. But let's also give him some little credit for the intent. The intent. But again, if you look at it overall, the performance has also been very poor, considering the amount of money he has spent. Okay, now let's look at support for businesses. See, these are the ways you measure the performance of a leader. Support for businesses. There is no single support for Abia businesses. Not in terms of soft loans, not in terms of anything. If you look at unemployment, there is no single job or youth empowerment program or anything of that sort created at the moment. Nothing at all. So if you look at support for businesses as well, there is nothing. Again, another very poor performance in that area. GDP growth, he is stifling the economy. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, that OT went to the local government and took the seal of authority of the local government, and he is controlling the finances of the local government. Every money that comes into the local government comes to him. Every money that comes to the local government, he controls it. And what has he done? No local government, the rural areas, the function of the local government is to develop the rural areas. OT has stifled development in the rural areas. He has refused to hold the election. He is making laws. I mean, if you also look at the rule of law, he doesn't follow any rule of law. Okay, now, new industries popping up in Abia. One of his campaign promises is that by the mention of his name, that investors will troop into Abia. As at today, no single investor has come into Abia. He opened an industrial park, whatever he opened there. No single investor was able to give a speech on that day. But until then, let's join hands to build Abia.
All right, this is the first part of the show. Like I did tell you during the introduction, it's an analysis of the third quarter financial report as published by the Abia State government on its website, abiastate.gov.ng, and an independent financial management consultant based in Scotland, Mr. A.K. Ako, just did his side of the analysis. The second part, we will have Mr. Ayodele Moses, doctor, political scientist, and public affairs analyst. He will also add his voice to the debate. But let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll take Dr. Ayodele Moses.
Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Monster Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Monster Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. And strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium.
Is that in 3 months, the governor of Abia State have spent more money than the governor of Enugu State and his counterpart at Ebonyi State combined. The governor of Abia State, who is resident and uses his residence at Isialangwa as his official office, have spent more money running and massaging his office at Isialangwa more than the combined expenditure of the governor of Enugu and the governor of Ebonyi, who are using the governor's lodge and the governor's office. That is one of my findings. The second area I decided to look into was on the issue of security vote. I have to cut it short because there is no more time. Now, the governor of Ebonyi receives or takes about 130 million per month. The governor of Enugu, about 380 million per month. That is when you divide by 3. And then the governor of Abia State collects 930 million every month as security vote. Now, in 3 months, the governor of Ebonyi and the governor of Enugu have spent far less than the governor of Abia. What it means is that the security vote of Abia in 1 month is more than the security vote of Enugu governor and Ebonyi governor combined. And compare this with the revenue inflow. When it comes to internally generated revenue, Ebonyi, as small as it is, generates as much as 3.26 billion. Enugu generates within the same period the whooping sum of 9.4 billion.
And our own Abia has come down from 5.7 billion under the previous administration to 3.3 billion. This is Abia that has so many markets and has many opportunities to collect revenue internally compared to these other two states. When this man Chimereze Okibo was appointed and he left, and in like people are running a secret